Hello, ladies and gents, and welcome to episode 36 of Beyond Retro. I'm tired as fuck, Nathan Kennedy, and I'm joined today by the man of mystery, the man behind the mask, Joe Amato, and also the guy that would give Buff Bagwell a run for his money, Tank Tops.
Hell yeah, I would. Yeah.
Tyler Baker.
That is me. Yeah.
How's it going?
Tank Top Tyler. I'm Triple T. I am like the new game in town. Yeah, I like that.
Nah.
T.
I was thinking about it. I was thinking about it last night at work because I had to work overtime, hence me being tired as fuck today. And I'm just like, if I do the intro, this is exactly what I'm going to say. And I'm glad that I nailed it because I was worried that I was going to flub on the words. But
like I normally do.
Yeah. I didn't want to pull a Tyler.
Yeah. Just triple my upper lip or something like that somehow on the podcast. Like, how the hell did I screw that up?
Yeah.
That's good. I like that.
And man, that setup behind you is fantastic and fits in perfectly with what we're gonna talk about today.
I have it ain't just mere words. Like, I have dreamed of having something like this in my quarters, and I'll just kind of twist it over. I've got Jaws: The Revenge right there, and Jaws 3. I've got some Jaws artwork that Erica gave me years ago of Roy Scheider writing Jaws. So I've got quite a little Jaws corner here that I have set up, thanks to Nathan for completing it.
Oh, yeah. You're welcome, man.
Yes.
It's got to give me that little shout out.
Oh, I have to. Yeah, because it's been something I have wanted to do or wanted to accomplish for years. So, but yeah, we are here to talk about a force of nature, in my opinion, something that I hold near and dear to my heart. It's in my top 3 films of all time. Number 2 film of all time. I just God, I love this film. And
number one is Predator, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. Number 3 is Batman.
All right. There we go.
Yeah. But I mean, we'll get into what I have to say. But Nathan knows I'm such a Jaws fan. I know Nathan doesn't know the film as much as I do, and Joe, I have no idea.
I think that's one of the first things that with Tyler, it was basically like, I like basketball. Oh, I like Jaws. Those were like the first 2 things that Tyler made abundantly clear when we started becoming friends.
Yeah, because I rented Jaws religiously as a kid, but studied it a lot more once I got in high school when the widescreen edition came out and had like a 15-minute behind the scenes. And I just became a junkie even more. Like, my lips were all chapped and crusted over. I'm scratching myself, wanting to rewatch Jaws. I can't sleep at night. I'm having nightmares about being chased by the actual shark in Jaws multiple times.
And there wasn't a point where your mom or your dad were like, maybe we should try to move him away from the Jaws thing.
No, not really, because my dad was such a giant fan of Jaws as well. Anytime I would watch it, Dad would sit down and watch it, or vice versa. Me and my dad, it's one of those films me and my dad still to this day share and will quote to death, just like Predator or Aliens or The Thing or Men at Work or something like that.
And also, the cooler thing is your Jaws poster behind you. I know that we've mentioned it before on the podcast, but you have it signed by multiple people. You can kind of make it out. So if you are joining us on Podbean when this goes up later, this is why you need to come check out the YouTube show.
Yeah, the poster by him is an original re-release from 1970. I think it's a 1975 re-release. I believe it is. The film came out in summer of '75, but it's a re-release poster. I was thinking it was 70. One of the late 70s, because I can't remember the exact year it's from, but it's an original, and I got it signed by Susan Backline, who plays Christy at the beginning of the film, who gets eaten, Jeff Kramer, who plays Chief Brody's deputy, Hendricks. I got Joe Alves, who designed the shark and did a lot of the storyboard designs for a lot of the attack scenes and things like that. Carl Gottlieb, who was one of the screenwriters and plays the head of the newspaper editor in the film. And Roger Castile, who actually did the painting itself, like the Jaws painting that we all know and or recognize, not the book, but it was for the paperback, and that's what they used for the movie poster. And Roger Castile was a sweetheart of a guy, and I got him to autograph it.
Which is honestly probably like the coolest one out of all of them, because he is You know, he's the reason that people were just like, oh wow, what is this, Joe? We gotta address to the elephant in the room, because you know, some of these guys may not have gone and watched Fans of Power. Joe is here with us. We've decided that
we'll avoid all Steven Seagal situations.
His name will never be mentioned again.
No, not even the Patriot.
Joe, how are you today, sir?
I'm good. I have my ice water here. I have my air on, nice and cool, and I'm all set. I'm surprised. The one thing I didn't see in Tyler's collection, of course, he might have it, and it just isn't fitting there. Did you ever get that? I think it was a box set that they released of like a Jaws figure and maybe the ship or something. I bet you have it. And bam, there.
Tyler says something, so it'll kick
over.
Yeah,
this is the McFarlane. It's covered in dust because it's really hard to clean this thing. But there's it. The McFarlane Jaws release. Me and my buddy Matt helped. Remember when they were still doing like the early days of Movie Maniacs? We sent a fan letter to McFarlane saying, "You guys should do like a Jaws, like kind of, diorama thing of like." Our idea was to have Roy Scheider's on the mast trying to stab Jaws when he comes out of the water, and maybe have Quint's like severed body like floating around in the water. But it was like 6 months later, we got news that this was announced. So me and my buddy Matt lost our shit. Like, what if we had something to do with that, man? No way. And,
probably not.
Probably not, but But
that is something that I need to get my hands on as well. But man, it's like what? It's like between $200 and $300.
Yeah.
But
God, it's worth it though. With all the details that are in that.
I just kick myself because
Was it that $40 when it first came out? 40 or 50?
It wasn't 50 because I remember when it came out, I was on one of those allowances, where the money you get is either from mowing lawns or what mom and dad give to you each week, and I bought it with that kind of money. I didn't have a job at the time,
so it might have been around $40 possibly, or
maybe around that.
Yeah, because you just mentioned $200 to $300. That must be now on the secondary market.
Oh
correct?
Yeah, it's been like
yeah. No, because I actually looked it up on eBay a couple weeks ago, because it's one of those things that I'm like, I really need to get this at some point, and the price is only going to get higher. But the problem now is if you want one boxed, obviously it's going to cost more. So if I want to go the cheaper route, that thing, it's McFarlane, but you can see it there. It's got pieces that are very fragile. So I would really hate to just get one loose and then it show up and it's tore up. And I guess the dogs were like freaked out for a second. Yeah, I don't know. Before we jump further into this Jaws discussion, Joe, there's something that I wanted to show you. This came out this week. I'm sure that you've probably heard that it came out, but the Sega Genesis Classics came out.
Somebody tagged me in that, and originally I didn't understand what they were showing because they didn't show the, actual case. They just showed, it said Sega Genesis Classics Collection, or I forgot how it was phrased. So I was assuming that it was being a console release like the SNES Classics.
Oh, yeah.
NES Classics.
That would have been cool, but...
Yes, but then somebody mentioned, no, that's for the PS4 and I believe the Xbox One. I said, well, I guess I'm out because I don't have either system, but that looks like it has a lot of games. Looks like
it's got 53. I'm not going to go through and just read them all off that are on here, but it's got fantasy. Why can't I talk? My mouth's just like, nah. I'll nail the intro and then everything else is just going to be
marble mouth.
Yeah, there you go. But Phantasy Star 2 through 4. I don't know why they didn't put the
Well, the original Phantasy Star was on the Sega Master System, so that wasn't a Genesis release.
Yeah, but they could still
what's funny is I've never seen them for some reason take a lot of the Master System games and put them on any discs for systems. It's usually just Genesis, Super Nintendo, whatever else. But no, and Phantasy Star is actually considered the best out of the entire series. But maybe one day they'll do a Master System collection as well.
But the best thing about it, and honestly kind of the main reason I got it, is it comes with a little poster. We got Golden Axe right here.
Badass.
But then, on the other side, you got Streets of Rage.
Streets of Rage.
Oh, wow. Yeah. That's pretty cool. Those are both great posters.
So I messed around with it the other night, and played some of the stuff I've never even honestly heard of before, and I'm like, wow, these are like really good games.
No, there's a lot of amazing ones. A quick side note, which relates to Masters of the Universe in some degree, is Golden Axe here in the United States. We had a pretty okay cover for the Genesis box, but the one that was released, I believe, in the UK, they had more realistic paintings of characters and poses, and the lead character, the warrior, that was it looked like it was actually they took Dolph Lundgren and painted him in the picture like how he was on the cover of the '87 movie poster for Masters. That was his pose. Yeah, and it looks really good. I was like, oh, it's a shame we didn't get that, but maybe there could have been some legal issues, so that's why it was in the UK, and here we just got something different.
I could see them getting away with that in the UK or in parts of Europe.
Right. Yeah, they like sneaking that stuff in other places. But no, thank you for sharing that. I had, like I said, I had some people tag me, but
that's the thing. That's the thing with Joe. If you find anything that's cool, because I sent him a link because they're coming out with, they're coming out with Jason and the dream sequence for part 5. And I sent him that, or I tagged his name in the comments of the post, and he was like, "Oh yeah, someone already tagged me in it." So I'm just like, "Damn it!"
I always appreciate it because you don't know if somebody else tagged me. So if anybody sees something, I appreciate it. And that's one figure I always thought would never happen. I always wanted it because they've made every version of Jason in figure form except Part 8 and Tommy's dream sequence version. I was like, well, I think maybe they will one day get around to making Part 8 Jason, but they'll never do the dream. And now they've done the dream. So it's fantastic because I want it, but now give us 8.
Yeah, give us the fucking Manhattan figure. Come on.
Hell yeah. Now that one I will buy.
Yeah, and that's what upsets me more than anything. They constantly say, it wasn't a popular movie, so nobody'd want to figure. I was like, well, that's the thing. I was like, some people didn't like the movie. I'll tell you what, there's a lot of Friday the 13th movies that some like, some hated. But when it comes to figures, as you know, action figure collectors, we love every form of them. And they're
who says that?
No,
Joe?
not the Freddy versus Jason version. And I'm getting back into this rant again. I'm sorry. I hate every time now that they come out with these shirts with him and Freddy Krueger. And yeah, it's nice that it's getting the love, but I hate the fact that they choose his look from Freddy versus Jason because it's one of the worst.
They do show that quite often, and you're right. That's definitely not my favorite version. I mean, again, figures I like, but no, to get back to you, Tyler, what's funny is in the days of early stuff when I think NECA started taking over the license from, when McFarlane used to do figures. But when NECA started doing it and released all these, I actually messaged them. And they replied back to me that. They said, Part 8 isn't a very popular movie, and we don't see the figures selling that well. Maybe someday, but not in the immediate future.
It makes no sense when they made figures of all the Freddys from all the shitty ones.
Yes. And also, even as an example, they made Roy. How hated was Roy from Part 5? And to some degree, people hated Part 5 as well. It's like, oh, you make Roy from Part 5, who's not even Jason, but you're not making 8, and now you're making the dream sequence, which I do want it because he has a unique look, and they're even as a nod to the actual cover of the poster.
Yeah,
they're doing that goofy. Yeah, I love that mask.
I love that. Yeah, if I get that figure, that's probably the mask that I'm actually going to keep on it.
Yeah, it's a genius move, but for them not to consider 8 is such a unique, iconic look. He has that wet, slimy look, the more yellow mask. It's so distinguishable, but someday, so I figured since they made that, there's nothing left. They have to do Part 8 now. I just don't understand it.
No, they'll just re-release Jason X Jason again.
Or Jason Goes to Hell Jason that McFarlane did back in the day.
Don't give them ideas of doing those because, it probably will happen. But, no, thanks for linking me on it either way because that had me excited. I haven't got excited for a Jason figure in a long time, and I'll probably have to save up to get that.
Yeah, it comes out in, September, I think.
I believe so, September, and sometimes it usually happens when they say that. It's usually early October and other places. But, yeah, that should give me enough time to save up for that sucker because I'm going to get that. So, thank you.
Yeah, of course. You're welcome. And also, hello to Jake Juggalo and Iceman Traveler in the chat. Thanks for joining us. Just going to steal Joe's lines.
Oh, yeah, go ahead. I didn't even have that part of the chat and things popped up yet. I still have to click, but, well, there, you did it, and thank you for thanking them. Did I just do that? I thanked you for thanking me.
Yeah.
I had to get it in one way or another, didn't I?
Yeah. All right, Tyler, Jaws. Hit us, educate us on Jaws. This man knows everything about Jaws.
I mean, God, there's an ungodly amount of YouTube channels or videos put up, where people have given their thoughts about Jaws and the sequels and all that stuff. We'll do the sequels later this year because Nathan liked to steal my thunder and take away my fun. I figured it was Joe because Joe likes to do that most of the time. But we'll talk.
Well, Joe needed to watch the sequels and they weren't on Netflix anymore.
Yeah, we got to make sure Joe does that. So, which Joe, you do realize that a lot of the stuff you received that is He-Man toys were gifts to you as a child. So if you can accept those, you're going to have to accept the Jaws sequels on a cheap DVD for you to watch. So I don't hear none of your malarkey or none of your bullshit about how you can't accept cheap $5 DVDs, specifically for the purpose of for the pleasure of this podcast, because you got a phobia for accepting gifts.
Yeah, that would be the only way I would be able to see them. Now that you said they're not on Netflix, and in my entire life, I've only seen Jaws and then Jaws 3 or 3D, however you want to say it.
You never seen Jaws 2?
Nope, and I never seen Revenge. And did they make others? Because
there's a Jaws 5 that was done. Hell, I can't even tell you anything about it, and it's only called that I think in like Japan or something. Hell, Matt Hilton has seen it. I haven't seen it because I've never seen it to buy or watch or anything like that. Hell, I couldn't even tell if it was an actual movie. But
wait, I mean, are you saying it was a fake movie or a real movie?
Or what? It's a movie, but I think it's just like some kind of like generic shark movie that's just calling itself Jaws 5.
Oh, so it was not released in the United States.
Yeah,
no. Okay.
I want to say too that it had like a lot of stock footage.
Probably did. I mean, like I've never, because when I heard of it, I almost felt like, is that even real? Or, I mean, because I would see posters for it like on the internet, and just what I would like. You know what? I ain't bothered. I would be more inclined to check out the Jaws knockoff of the '70s and the early '80s than something that had been done, in recent 20 years or something like that. But I mean, in regards to the movie, though, it's a movie. I don't know life without this movie. It's been in my life as long as the He-Man live action movie and Predator and Ghostbusters, the Karate Kid. It's lumped in as something that's been embedded in my life that I couldn't tell you the first time I saw it. I really couldn't, because I've seen it so many times at such an early age, and it never scared me as a kid. And in fact, it scared me more as I got older. Watching Quint being eaten, the estuary victim, and the Kittner boy, and Chrissy getting all that stuff scared me more as an adult, because you come to have a better understanding of the scary things in life. And as a child, it was just mesmerizing to just watch the film. And I used to watch the first one, and Jaws: The Revenge, the most. I used to rent both those films a whole lot. And it's a film that I have studied in and out. I mean, all kinds of behind the scenes documentaries that have been done about it, promos of it on TV. Like, it's fun to watch, the advertisements for when it was going to be premiering on ABC, or watching the trailers in theaters. Just the excitement about, the impact this film has had. I've always been fascinated with the stories of when it came out in '75. It took the whole summer. People were legitimately not going in the ocean because it's been told 1,000 times. But the impact of the film is something that we still to this day, when people are afraid to go in the water, it's because of this film and what resonates in real life happenings of people being attacked by sharks. And it's hard for me to not go into the ocean and not think about, parts of the film. I try not to think about it a whole lot. I did years ago, I think like in 2008 or something, I made a point. I wanted to watch Jaws at the beach. So when my family went to Myrtle Beach, I made a point to bring Jaws with me, and I watched it with one of my mom's friend's youngest son, who wanted to watch it with me. And of all the shenanigans and drunk behavior that was going on, I got fussed at for showing her child Jaws at the beach, and everything else was perfectly fine. I could not figure that one out, because he was scared shitless when he went to bed after watching it at the beach. But I was like, you knew what you were getting into, kid. But it's a film that I really do treasure, man. I love the film to death. I love looking at Jaws fan art. I wish they would release more Jaws memorabilia. I'm a junkie for them in every bit of it. I really am. So
and he's super excited about Meg coming out in August.
Kind of. So just because, You know, I don't want to see the shark movies continue to be parodied and made fun of, or people just go and laugh at, oh, look at the goofy special effects of that goofy guy getting eaten. Oh, it's Rainn Wilson making more jokes and stupid shit like that. I want the shark movies to be taken seriously, like that first film and even the second film was. You know, and even with 3 and 4, they were made with the best of intentions. Whether you hate them or like them, that's another argument for another day. But these films didn't start out to be made fun of. And that's what I want Meg to be. I don't want it to be something that people are walking out there laughing. You know, I want them to be scared. I want them to be freaking out. I want them to have, you know, creepy visuals in your head. I mean, when you watch this, and we'll get into it because I want to know what you guys thought about certain sequences and stuff like that. But I want the shark movie to be rejuvenated and be taken, you know, not taken for granted, but, you know, held up on a high pedestal. Because, I mean, a film from 1975 is still scaring the shit out of people, from young audiences to older audiences. It's the quintessential man versus animal movie. They have not been able to top it in all these years. I don't care what they've done with computer effects. They can't seem to top what has done, or what was done in '75 by Spielberg and company. So,
are you trying to say that you don't like shark tornadoes?
I didn't even bother to watch these pieces of shit. just all those like crummy ass sci-fi, like Mega Shark versus Giant Octopus and Mega Shark versus, you know, Giant Wiener and all these other, you know, just made up stupid stuff. It's just like, God, no one is going to take a killer shark movie seriously anymore. If it's not that, it's a PG-13 crummy ass movie like Shark Night, just to get teenagers in the theater who could care less about what they're watching, hoping that the girl's going to give them a hand job during the movie or something like that. So, but yes, I love this film. That's an understatement. You know, Nathan knows that. I haven't really talked the film with Joe much, as long as I've known Joe, you know, so I don't know Joe's thoughts on Jaws. I know he hasn't watched it in a while, but, you know, you guys have rewatched it recently, so I'd like to hear, you know, when you guys are done with it, what were your thoughts of revisiting the film?
Well, I think Jaws is kind of one of those films that I would put in the same category as your Die Hards. It's like the perfect film. For me, it's a movie that you can sort of just watch whenever. And it doesn't it doesn't drag at all. I know you were telling me before we started, and he was like, I hope it wasn't like a drag for you. You're kind of tired and everything, but I don't think that there are any wasted moments. And I think one of the coolest things is you go a good hour and 20 minutes before you even really see the shark, you know? Like that's the beauty of it. We're building this, and it's a film that shows that, like, Spielberg at his best. I'm sitting here kind of wondering, because I haven't seen Ready Player One, but man, like, what happened to all of these filmmakers? Was it just, I don't want to say they lost the passion or anything, but it just seems like most of the stuff that they're churning out now is just not good. Like, you take out what they're putting out now and then think about what Spielberg did before, your Jaws, Jurassic Parks, and everything. Like, what went wrong in his career? I don't know.
I felt that way for years. I mean, because I feel like Jurassic Park was the last big spectacle film Spielberg's ever made. Lost World was forgettable. Catch Me If You Can was good, but it's not like the magic Spielberg film that we all come to know and love. It's not Hook. It's not Indiana Jones. It's not E.T. You know, it's certainly not Jaws.
I would throw Saving Private Ryan, because that was a very well done film.
Well, and I know people, you know, love it, but to me, I look at that as like Spielberg's like Oscar chase films, you know, like
Schindler's List.
Yeah, you know, where they're more about, you know, historical times as opposed to, you know, magic movie making, so to speak. Stuff that just leaves you in awe, movies you can't stop thinking about, that leave an impression on you, you know, for fun, not for like, wow, those are some really dark times those people went through, you know.
Yeah.
But
the first 5 minutes of Jaws is just amazing. Like, it's so simple. It's like a guy and girl look at each other. It's like, hey, let's go out in the water. And then, you know, he's drunk and he's like, I'm not drunk. And then he passes out on the beach.
That kind of looks like Nathan.
That probably would be me. And, you know, she's out in the water. And then you just, that jerk and just the screaming. And then that last and then under, and then that wide shot. It's fucking perfect.
Yeah, and it's Joe. I've been talking too damn much here. We got to get you in here.
No, correct that original part. I mean, not the original, the beginning though, when she is getting attacked, and of course you're not seeing Jaws, but the whole anticipation of the sound effects going up to her legs, grabbing her screaming, going under, popping back, screaming again, hitting the buoy. It just gets you anxious. It's not that, again, I've seen Jaws probably a total of now 3 full times in my whole life. And it's not because it's a movie I hate.
God.
Yeah, it's not that it's a movie I hate, but I'll just be honest with you. I've had issues with water movies, and whether it's water movies with Jaws or giant creatures or anything like, Leviathan and whatever the hell else movies are, I just never really wanted to watch them. Part of it's because I almost drowned as a kid. And so I actually started having issues watching movies with water creatures or things I just never got into them. And Jaws is a great... Oh, go ahead.
Well, is it okay to... Is this a story that you would want to tell, or
no?
Okay.
I don't. I don't even like no. But so it's always been awkward watching water movies, but Jaws.
No, I feel like such a shit recommending a movie that's heavily water based, and one of our podcasters has been traumatized by water. I'm like, damn it, man.
Well, no. I mean, no, you knew nothing about that, so no, that's no problem. But I mean, it's a good movie, but I could never usually revisit it too much. But it definitely does get me anxious. I'm seeing the people out there and they're getting attacked. It's freaky. But no, I mean, it still is a great movie. Hell, even when you get into it later, just you were talking about, were there parts that might have been boring? Hell, even the parts where they were talking a lot still were intriguing enough to hold your attention. Yeah, like when Quint was talking, when they're on the boat, and he's doing his whole description of things that he went through and people he knew. It's like, that held your attention. So they did a great job with it. I like movies that make you anxious. And this one definitely did make you anxious. But
I'm gonna interject really quick. In the chat, we have our first...
Yes.
Dating with hot girls. See my profile.
Oh, I can't.
We've hit it big. Now we've got bots saying, hey, single guys, you can get some right now.
All right, Joe. Do I just need to click on the thing here and hit report?
I think you can do that. You can click on it. You can hit report. You should even be able to remove it. So anybody in the chat room that's seeing that dating with hot girls and talking about...
Do not click that link.
Do not click anything there. Do not click it. Of course, I know that they're not stupid enough to do that, but just in case you were in that mood and you're like, hey, don't do it. So, yeah, we finally got our first spammer with porn.
Which would be weird if they were in the mood, because somehow that means we're getting them in the mood.
Yeah.
Get them hot. This whole scene about the girl at the beginning getting attacked, and it just got them going right there.
Or it could be our sultry and seductive voices.
It could be.
Could be that, too.
And it's... Yeah. All right. Sorry. I'm like, I saw that pop up and I'm like, what the fuck? Okay. And I know it's happened to you guys before, and I'm just we made it.
What was that one time, Tyler, that we had a spammer too talking about check out hot shit or something?
Yeah, it was a while back on Fans of Power. Hell, you handled it though. It was just something I think you quickly interjected and shut him out real quick. So it wasn't anything to really worry too much about.
Oh, we got a first. We finally had our first.
But I mean, I do like the combination of sex and Jaws. Like having sex and then watching Jaws afterwards, or watching Jaws and getting worked up and then having sex. It's a great combination.
Sure.
No, it's like you could also throw in having great sex and then watching He-Man cartoons afterwards. It's just great stuff all around. It's great combinations.
It's a unique combination. I can give you that. I want to say one quick thing about Jaws 3. How I told you I seen that one time. I remember seeing it. I'm just going to say quickly. I seen it in the theater. The reason I have not revisited it was I was so put off. We had a horrible experience. We went there. Of course, it's Jaws 3D. We had the 3D glasses ready. We're watching the movie. The screen was having issues, and none of those effects were coming in proper. Everybody in the whole theater, I mean, we're all pissed. Everybody's eyes were kind of blurry. You were taking the glasses down to try to watch the movie. I was so put off that I never wanted to watch Jaws 3 again, just because of my experience in the theater.
I could understand that.
Yeah, I mean, I could probably see it on. Well,
hell, even on VHS and DVD, it's I haven't seen it on Blu-ray yet, but the transfer even on VHS was very crummy. It's a very blurry looking film because of the 3D transfer they were trying to do. It just doesn't work. But it was a great idea. I think it was. I still think Jaws 3 could have been a great film.
No,
But back to Jaws though, because I guess kind of go in unison. I mean, one of the more famous parts we could talk about Brody and Dreyfus stuff, but to me, some of the most impactful moments, and I think it is for a lot of people, are the death scenes in the film. Those are the scenes that everybody's getting white knuckled over, or at least if you're sitting home casually, you know what's coming, and you're just waiting to see the explosion. You just like with Alex Kittner. As a kid, it didn't really register to me like seeing a child die on screen. It was like a few films later, I'm like, wow, they killed off a little kid. It just didn't come off to me like this little boy, which at the time as a child, he didn't look like a little boy to me. He looked like a young teenage boy. But as I get older, it's still very, devastating to watch this poor boy just being obliterated in a fountain of blood as Jaws is just chomping him into pieces.
And that's one of the cooler parts, it's like that happens and then it cuts away and everyone's out of the water and then his mom's like looking around and then it cuts to that shot where like the waves just carrying what's left.
Yeah, of the raft. Yeah. And it's a scary scene simply because you feel bad for the mom. As all three of us are adults now. We don't have kids, but still you appreciate the hard that a parent must go through. I mean, because we've all heard of real stories of people being attacked, and unfortunately, some of them don't make it. But it's such a scary thing to see that this child is just chomped to bits, eaten alive. They pull everyone out, and this mother's looking around like, "Well, where's my child?" And you see the bloody, torn apart raft wash up on shore. I mean, just that scene alone, and knowing Roy Scheider's constant fear of something's going on. He thinks it's a shark. And then he sees it happen right in front of him on the beach. I mean, it's I
always like that dramatic zoom in on him too.
Yeah, and that's such a famous shot. Yeah, it's like a Hitchcock shot almost. And then you really feel for his character too, because it's unfortunate. Of course, it's just great storytelling that the minute he sees Chris's remains on the beach, talks to the coroner. Okay, this is a shark attack. We got to shut down the beaches. The mayor comes and Johnson is like, "No, we're not shutting down the beaches on your own authority." 4th of July is coming up. We got to keep this good. But just knowing he is aware that there's something going on, his hands are tied, and then he feels completely at fault for anything that happens after that because he's in charge. He's in charge of the public safety. And even though he's being told he can't stop anything, you still feel for him that, like when Mrs. Kittner approaches him after they catch the tiger shark and she gives him a piece of her mind, slaps him, and in front of everybody, you just feel that devastation, that look on his face of like, I failed this community. This little boy's gone. This mother's devastated, and it's my fault. It's just great storytelling in this wonderful adventure story. Before the real adventure takes off, we're given all this great character buildup of what he's dealing with and confronting his fears. It's just, I relate so much to Roy Scheider's character of Chief Brody in the film. Like, if I would love to portray that just for fun, just because it's such a roller coaster ride of a character's story arc of wanting to do your best but being afraid. I mean, I do.
You want to go through all that pain and like stress. Well, I can't imagine seeing you do that. Like, I've seen you get stressed out over way less things than like situations like that. You'd be like,
Well, knowing that I'm going to win in the end, that I'm going to kill the shark and say, "Smile, you son of a bitch," I'd be all right with that. Like,
all right, so you just want to play through the film.
Yeah, I want to role play it. I don't actually want to, deal with like this poor boy's just been died. I might watch on my day off here, and
it's so weird. He wants to role play, and then he wants to like have sex either before or after watching Jaws.
Yeah, probably watch.
Did you click on that link?
No, I didn't have to. I'm the one that put it there.
There you go.
But no, it's just I just always sympathize with his character. I have more as an adult, and then I became more fascinated with Quint's character as I got older too. Especially with the Indianapolis speech when I was in high school and I was watching the film a whole lot more. That speech just really just embedded itself in my head, and I would just go back and rewatch the film from there on because Quint's speech would haunt me as a teenager.
I mean, you can see it in Hooper's eye. He's just like,
Yeah, he's just not moving. And then that one shot of him looking at Brody, because they look at each other when they hear about Quint's buddy being found bitten in half in the water, and just all those details of people being eaten alive while you're sitting in the water and someone's being eaten a few feet away from you. I mean, it's just a horrific story, and that was a real story.
Yeah,
it's since then gone on to become arguably the most memorable part of the film. Did that have a? I know you talked about that, Joe, but like, is that something that really sticks out with you too? Is the Indianapolis speech?
Yeah, not only that speech, but even his introduction when, remember, they're in the building, wherever.
Yeah, town hall.
Town hall. Yes, town hall. And when he's sitting there and he's talking about his fee being $10,000, and for that you get the head, you get the tail, you get the whole damn thing. What's funny is Jason Goes to Hell stole that line. Creighton Duke, when he gives his bounty for getting Jason, he says, he said 500,000 is my fee. For that, you get the mask, the machete, the whole damn thing. So Jason Goes to Hell actually stole that line and used it for their movie. So I guess they liked it too. But
yeah, there's a lot of films that have stolen elements from Jaws.
God, yeah.
Because I mean, even in Chasing Amy, they do the thing where they're comparing scars and everything too.
Yeah, sexual scars. It all comes back to sex and Jaws.
Yep. Sex and Jaws.
Sex and Jaws. But I mean, as so much that this film has such an I never read the book until college, and read the book. I'm like, God, you read the book, you're like, how did they decide to make a movie out of this? Because the book is just, in comparison, it's not that good, and that's because I was so used to the book. I mean, the movie.
What was bad about the book? Because I've never read the book. What was so bad about it?
It's the characters aren't that likable, and I think that was one of the things that Spielberg and the Powers That Be said, that the characters are just not as entertaining or as sympathetic, or because Chief Brody's kind of a schlubby character. Hooper sleeps with Chief Brody's wife. Quint is kind of one-dimensional. Like, he doesn't have. He's nothing like how Robert Shaw portrays him in the film. He's just kind of a one-dimensional character, and they go out for a day and then they come back in. Like, they do not stay out overnight. And that takes away part of the fear as well. Whereas Quint in the movie is like, no, we're staying out here until we get this shark. Whereas in the book, all right, we're going to call it a day. We're going to head back into shore. And they do that for about 3 days. There's a few more deaths in the book. Like when Alex Kintner gets eaten, an elderly woman gets eaten at the same time, like right after Alex is eaten, an old lady gets eaten. Hooper dies in the book. Like, Jaws gets inside the cage and leaps out of the water with Hooper in its mouth, while Quint and Brody are on the ship, on the rear of the ship, and they look back and they see Jaws jump out of the water with, devouring Hooper while he's alive, and then splashes back into the water.
That would have been something I would have liked to have seen in the film.
I think they changed that simply because, and I've watched so many behind the scenes. I've watched the behind the scenes documentaries an ungodly amount of times, just because I can't get enough of all the behind the scenes stuff. And I think originally he was going to die, but they changed the footage due to the shark footage that they found, the live shark footage that's used, like with the shark getting stuck in the cage, which was done in Australia. They decided to use that, and I think also, to have Hooper pop out of the water once the shark is dead, it's a big hooray moment. It really leaves the audience on a big excited moment, even though the shark is dead and Brody's alive. To have Hooper pop up, hey, he made it, because Hooper's such a likable character in the movie. It's just good storytelling. It would have been awesome to see Jaws, rise up to the surface with, Hooper in his mouth. But I'm glad they didn't go that route. But it's still intriguing. But overall, just the book, it just, like there's issues like, the town. I know the mayor has ties to the mob. Brody just doesn't come off as just, nothing like how Roy Scheider portrays him in the film. It just, it wasn't like a horrible read, but I loved the movie so much. It just kind of made you feel like, man, the guys who made the movie made Jaws. Like, I know we wouldn't have it if Peter Benchley didn't write the book. So I give him 150% credit. But in comparison to, I just think the movie is just so much better. I'm glad they cut out the affair storyline, because that would have done nothing for the film. I know Lorraine Garrow is upset about that, because I think she wanted to do like some sort of, kind of a, at least hint at, or have like a love scene with Richard Dreyfuss, to kind of, I guess spice it up for her acting career, I guess. But it
would have given her more.
It would have given her more
in the movie, because she's only in there for bits and pieces,
But she does a really good job of, and I like that with the Brody family, and you get that through except for part 3, that they're a tight, close family, that there's a unity there, that they're all happy, and I like that because then it makes it feel like there's a lot to lose. When Brody's son Michael is in danger, or when Lorraine Gary's character of Ellen, she's fearful of Brody going out to sea, like she's worried about him, like I don't care who you're going with, what am I going to tell the kids? And she runs off crying. Like you just
tell them I'm going fishing.
Fishing, yeah. It's just everything is everybody's so likable in this film. The mayor, even though he's a greedy mayor, and you understand why the town acts the way they do because this is how they make their money. And even though we as an audience were like, dude, we're with Brody, shut down the damn beach.
Eventually it reaches a point where he's like, my kids were on that beach during that one attack scene, and then he's like, okay. He's like, just sign the damn paper when they're there in the hospital. And he just like, I don't even think he looks when he's signing it, does he?
He does. Like he just kind of glances and he's just kind of signing. You hear the paper scratching. But by that point, he was like, I don't give a damn who was on that beach. My son almost got eaten alive. And he watched someone be eaten alive in front of his eyes. Are you going to tell me you're trying to defend why you kept the beaches open? You're like, you're in no position to do that. And that's just great acting. Like when Roy sends Ellen off with Sean, and he turns and sees Mayor Vaughn just looking broken, smoking a cigarette in the hospital.
Yeah, back when you could smoke anyway.
Yeah, and you just see like the look on Brody's face, like he is about as pumped up with adrenaline as he possibly could, and Mayor Vaughn is just a broken shell of a man, just by their acting, like the exhaustion in their faces. God, it's just so great acting without having to say anything, and we'll just touch on this around the attack in the estuary. And that's a scene that I feel like people always overlook of like that's your first real shot of Jaws. Like they always looked at like the chumming scene, you come down to chum some of this shit.
Yeah, no.
They always look over when the estuary victim gets eaten alive and you see Jaws' mouth at the side, swallowing the guy, and no one says that. No, you see Jaws like wait, like no, that's the first time you see the damn shark, and it's scary as hell because Jaws looks even more vicious at that side angle with his gums revealed.
Well, that's the cooler thing too, because like it's still kind of murky, so you can't entirely say it's just more like an outline of them in a way too.
Oh no, I mean, like you see it when you see Jaws underwater grab a hold of him, but then it cuts back to where the girls who are sunbathing look up and hear the guy screaming, and then you see Jaws' mouth wide open and the guy being pulled down under, and you're like, holy shit, man! And then the leg floats down, and the blood's bubbling up, and I don't know, and I know Jaws fans already know this, but for your all's benefit, are you guys aware of the alternate attack scene that was done?
No. Of course not.
Okay. Well, I don't know. Well, I thought maybe Nathan would have watched the behind-the-scenes documentary.
No.
But anyway, the original one that they had done, and they haven't seen like, because the way they describe it makes it sound like it's a lot more brutal, and maybe the actual like full-on scene that they shot and cut is more impactful as opposed to what they're talking about. But what happens is Jaws grabs the guy, and he's in Jaws' mouth, and the guy's upper body's still on the water, but he's kind of riding against Jaws' mouth, like Jaws' head. Like, here's Jaws. The guy's kind of leaning back on Jaws' mouth, and Jaws is heading towards Michael Brody as he's floating in the water, like trying to get two people at the same time. So the estuary victim's got blood in his mouth, spitting up blood as Jaws is chomping on his lower body, and the estuary victim grabs a hold of Michael and pushes Michael out of the way because Jaws is trying to eat both of them. And there's outtake footage of that, and it doesn't look that good. And you're thinking, why did you guys cut this? Because they're both saying that scene was a lot more horrible, but all you're seeing is the fin, the estuary victim with blood in his mouth, holding on to Michael, and Michael's crying and screaming and pushes Michael, and then he's pulled down under the water. Now, the way Spielberg and the actor, the stuntman who played the estuary victim, they talk as if like it was so much more gross and vicious and more violent. And I'm thinking, well, did you guys shoot something else? Because the outtake footage looks nothing like what's in the movie. The movie looks scary as shit. To see that image of Jaws' mouth come up and grab a hold of the estuary, and then the leg floats down. What's more scary than that? So I just always found that, because there was a promotional shot I found in this book at Books A Million back in the day, back in the late 90s, which shows that shot. And I almost spent $18 to buy that book just so I could have that image. This was before I ever had internet. So it was a big deal to see something I had never seen of Jaws. What the hell?
What the hell?
Somebody attacking this house?
No, it was something popped up telling me I was low on power. I'm like, the hell I am. I almost got a full battery there. But anyway, but no, I just that estuary scene just always freaked me out. Still does to this day.
I'm just thinking when he's like, "What the hell?" and then like a shark just busts through the wall.
Like Jaws from Saturday Night Live, like Chevy Chase in a foam shark outfit, Candygram, and then swallows me whole right here on the podcast.
And then Joe and I are like, "Well, here we go again."
Yep. Tyler's got up and left
last week it was Joe. This week it's Tyler. What's going to happen to me next week?
We'll get to talking about how great Walmart is, and Nathan just gets up and leaves.
That'd be pretty bad. We'd be stuck here and don't know what to do because he's the one that does the recording, so we'd be in a pickle there.
We would be.
But Jaws, though, you're right. What I love about it is just like you said, all the great special effects. Now, the part, you were mentioning that in the book, it would have been great, sure, to see Hooper, being in the mouth, going up over the water and going down, but that probably would have been too difficult to pull off, I'm sure, stunt-wise. But
yeah,
for the most part, all the rest of it, and I'm sure, Tyler, you've heard it probably more than me. Even though I haven't watched Jaws a lot, I used to always hear people saying, the shark looks fake. I'm like, I thought the shark looked fantastic. Yeah, I was like, I thought it looked fantastic. It scared the hell out of me when it's popping up on the boat, especially when it's eating Quint. It looked real. It looked so damn real, like he was actually devouring him. That was gross. It was frightening. And at no point did that look fake to me. I mean, I don't know about you, Nathan, but Tyler obviously didn't think it looked fake. I mean, did you ever have an issue with Jaws looking phony? Because I sure didn't get it.
No, that always goes back to the thing that, like, I'm always going to love practical effects over anything else, because even if it doesn't look the best, they took the time and the effort to try to make it happen and look right,
Especially back in 75. That's
exactly. And you got to think, too, and Tyler, you can kind of touch on it some more since you've watched more of the behind the scenes, but I know that there were a lot of problems, almost to a point where they're like, I don't know if we can even make this movie, right? Like,
yeah, the behind the scenes stuff has just become as popular as the movie. It really has. I mean, today, they've done the Jaws log, which is a book written many years ago by Carl Gottlieb about the behind the scenes stuff. They've done, several behind the scenes stories and documentaries, and that's one of the biggest things about Jaws now is all the problems they had with the shark. Richard Dreyfuss loves to do his impression of how the radios were on the island saying the shark is not working, because it would sink to the bottom. Frogman would have to go and recover it, or the gears wouldn't work, or Jaws wouldn't rise up in time, or a wide assortment of things. They had, boats that would sink deliberately and then rise back up. So they're constantly dealing with the actual ocean itself affecting the mechanics of the shark or the sinking orca, trying to film when you've got, the sun out, or if it's raining, or if there's a sailboat in the distance. You can't film because you want the image that the three men are on the sea by themselves with no chance of help. So if there's a boat swimming by or sailing by in the distance, you got to wait till that boat is gone before you can start filming, and just there's all kinds of issues. And that's what makes it so much, because I always appreciate even more the hard work that went into putting a movie like this together. Same thing with all the Ray Harryhausen films like Clash of the Titans and the Sinbad films and Jason the Argonauts, because you appreciate how much time it took to make these monsters come to life. And Jaws is no exception, because to actually build the shark, to have it on a crane underneath the water, and to have it glide under the water so that way the men can get a look at it as it glides by with John Williams' awesome score playing, and they see just how big he really is for the first time, like from nose to tail. Just all that stuff and how long it took to get one shot, or on a good day, I think Spielberg said he would get 3 shots on a good day, and that was it. I mean, obviously filming all the interior stuff and the town stuff's easy. It's all the stuff at sea that was making everybody go nuts and going over budget and going over time and thinking they were going to have the film shut down. It's a stuff of legend. I mean, God, that's one of the more fascinating stories. If you like Jaws, you owe it to yourself to look up. The documentaries are available on YouTube, both the one that was done in 1995 that was on the Laserdisc and the VHS release. The Shark is Still Working, which was done a few years ago. That's on YouTube to watch. They've done multiple interviews, with the BBC and E! True Hollywood Story of the behind-the-scenes stories of Jaws. It's legendary. It's to hear that Robert, like the Indianapolis speech was written over 3 times to what you see in the movie. Like what we see in the movie was Robert Shaw rewriting the director of Conan the Barbarian and Red Dawn, John Milius, who also rewrote Howard Sackler. It's just
still Trap Man. He's just throwing out all these names, and I'm just sitting here like, yeah.
I wonder what's for dinner tonight. Just completely phased out. But that's what this film does to me. I'm such a geek for this film and the sequels as well. We won't talk about those today, but people don't like the sequels. I understand why, but I love knowing, like, Jaws 2 has got a great behind-the-scenes story as well of all the shit that went down behind that film. I did get to talk to Joe Alves about Jaws 3 briefly. He directed it. I didn't get to spend too much time with him about it. And Jaws: The Revenge, there's great stories behind that of how these films come to be and what happened and why they turned out the way they did.
Well, can we kind of discuss that a little bit, since going back to when you got your poster signed? Do you have any stories with that you would like to share?
Like when I met Joe Alves, I mean, I was so giddy. I mean, I really felt like a girl who had a crush on the actors that were there. I mean, everybody. It was our second year going to Mad Monster, so I had experience of like what it was like to meet celebrities that you really admire and see. But this was Jaws, man. This was a big damn deal. I mean,
they had them all lined up in like this little hallway corridor.
Yeah. Go ahead, Dave.
I just remember, like, you can see it on his face. And like I didn't get him to sign anything because I'm just like, whatever. And he's just all giddy, and he handed me the camera. And he was like, all right, just follow me, and when I meet them and it's time, you take the picture. I'm like, okay. So I would like sit there and on my phone. I would kind of like listen in a little bit as he's like, I got all these questions to ask you. And the cool thing about it is they weren't like, oh God, not. They actually, there's something about Tyler when he goes to these conventions. People just like, these celebrities are just, they are into it. He asks them all these questions that they
probably have never been asked before, not the simple, regular, run-of-the-mill questions. Tyler's always hitting them with in-depth things.
Yeah. So he's always got their attention, and they're always, most of the time, I think he's had like one or two.
Yeah, Tom Savini, douchebag.
I knew you were going to bring him up. I was going to say that because I know you guys both mentioned him last time.
Yes.
God.
Yeah, if you get that look from Savini, and he kind of just like leans back and he just like squints his eyes just enough, and he just like stares at you like you're a piece of shit, and then you just know that you're not going to have a good time with him. Like Tyler, I was like, you got it, just go meet him. Just go meet him, have that experience. It's not going to be good. I told him that ahead of time, like it's going to be terrible, and it was. I have that photo of Sex Machine signed by him, and I don't know where it is. I never took the time to hang it on the wall because I'm like, it felt like a waste of money.
$30 for such a wonderful, shitty memory like that, And I mean, hell, he wouldn't even look at me. He kept looking around and just would quickly glance at me as if like, oh man, you're a guy. Because I had heard that I told Eric, I was like, you got to come over with me because I heard he responds to women. And she thought it was funny. So her and Nathan stayed off to the side and let me go get humiliated by myself, And I came back with my tail between my legs and just felt like I just wasted $30 for that guy.
Which is a shame. I'm like, people are paying you for your time, and you've done all of these wonderful things. I'm not taking away what he's done with special effects.
No, me neither.
At least appreciate your fan base. It just seems like he's just there for the money, and I mean, good for him, but that's still a shame for people that are like a super huge fan of his work. But anyway, back to your Jaws panel, because they had them all lined up just all together on basically like 2 or 3 tables, and he just went down the row.
Yeah.
And even some of the other ones would like pipe in. Like he'd be talking to one and the other person would slide over and be like, oh, hey, yeah, we're talking about that. And then they would start, it just turned into like this big, huge conversation almost with everybody.
I mean, I really was. I was out of control. I really felt like that day because when I approached, I think I met Roger first, the guy who did the painting. His wife was there, and he had some of his artwork and stuff like that. And I just talked to him. I mean, it was, I was really starstruck. I mean, it was a big deal to meet him. And I mean, I pretty much asked him like the simplest question, but he was a real sweetheart of a guy. His wife snapped at Nathan. I remember this. Yeah. because they a guy who owned a lot of the props from the movie had them on display, and he also had a maquette of the Jaws mouth on display, and you could take your pictures with it. It was $5.
Okay.
So I paid the fee, and she didn't see me pay the fee. So when I went to go take my picture, Nathan's going to take my picture, and he goes, "Hey!" And Nathan goes, "You paid." Like it's just is calm and like a scared puppy. That's all he says. He paid, and that's it. It was as soft spoken and calm and just
which is kind of funny coming from me, because if someone catches me off guard and tries to yell at me like that, usually I'm kind of yelling back. But I was just like, yeah, okay.
But it was just so funny, and I know Nathan. I don't think he thought anything of it, but I just remember Nathan just being, as calm as he's ever been when someone comes after him. But then I talked to Jeff Kramer, who was Deputy Hendricks, and Joe Alves, and I had to hug them. Like I think I grabbed a hold of Joe Alves, who's real short in real life. Like you see these guys, and you're not quite sure of their height. And Joe is quite short. And I just said, "Dude, can I just hug you?" This is the guy who designed the shark. This is the guy who put together the beautiful artwork of what the shark should look like and designed it and storyboarded the attack scenes and stuff like that. And it was incredible. And he was also a production designer on Escape from New York, directed Jaws 3. He's worked on Close Encounters of the Third Kind. I believe he worked on Jaws 2. I think he worked on Close Encounters. Hell, I can't remember. I'm not a big fan of that movie anyway. But he worked on Jaws 2, and it was and I'm telling them both like all these like stories I remember from the behind the scenes of Jaws 2. Jeff Kramer's just sitting there smiling real big, like I'm not even giving him an opportunity to tell me about his story of like I'm repeating his life back to him. I'm like, and he's just got this big smile on his face. And then when I get done talking, I felt like my face was as red as Joe's mask because I was so worked up. And they say, "Here, Tyler, you come around here." And they put me between the two of them. And I got my picture taken with both of them, with Joe on one side and Jeff on the other. And it was just, oh, my God. It was unbelievable. And then going to meet Chrissy, Susan Backline, I asked her if I could give her a hug because I felt like I think she was kind of taken aback a bit. Just after I was talking.
Well, I mean, think about it. Like you got done with that, and then like your face is all red, and you're just like, you go up to her, and you're like, "Hey, can I hug you?"
Well, no. I will say this: I asked to hug her after I talked to her because I did do that. But I had asked her because all the behind the scenes footage you see of her, on set, like on the beach, getting loaded up with her cables and stuff. It's all daylight, and the promotional shots of her being eaten in the water. It's all daylight.
Well, yeah, because they threw on that filter, which I've always liked that filter. Some people don't like it, but I think it's really just neat. And it's like, all right, obviously they did this in the daytime, but they're trying to, because I mean, you can't. It would look like shit if you just filmed it in the dark,
Yeah, but as a fan, they never addressed that, and you see so many promotional, and I didn't know that. I was not. Obviously, I can clearly tell they use that a lot, and I can see that a lot in movies now. But when I talked to her, I just thought it was so odd to see all these promotional shots, but there's no nighttime shots. And she just calmly says, "Oh, no, we just put a lens to make it look like we were shooting at night." And to me, it was just like the simplest answer of like, it was something in my mind that was a big deal to have answered. Yeah, it was like, I get it now. so I had her autograph on the poster. Tyler, let's go swimming.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Do you have any pictures that you took when you were at those conventions?
Yeah, I got pictures with everybody. When
you should post them up on Facebook. I'm sure people will probably get a kick out of seeing that.
Yeah, I might have to do it on the Beyond Retro, maybe do it on Facebook because they were done back in like 2012, I think. 2000.
Yeah, something like that. You used to actually have them all together in a frame hanging on that wall, correct?
Yeah, I just kind of downsized the stuff I had on display. This corner was filled up with all my pictures with Roger Castile and Carl Gottlieb and Jeff and Joe and Susan. But I just downsized just because my walls were getting just too packed out with stuff. But excuse me. But hopefully maybe one day I'll get lucky and get to meet Richard Dreyfuss because he does the convention circuit. I'd love to talk to him. But
I wonder how that would turn out. He seems like he's always kind of a curmudgeon. He seems just kind of angry all the time.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure what to make of him.
I bet it would be. I bet it would be like one of those really quick William Shatner-esque kind of things. You go up, he signs your thing, and it's just like, and then you're done.
Yeah, probably. Or I get the same like generic story I've heard in like a million interviews with him. Like if I want to ask him about behind the scenes of Jaws, he'll just tell me, "Yeah, the shark is still working. The shark is not working." You know, just dude, I've heard it a million times. Can you tell me something I have not heard before? You know, but actually getting back to the film though, you know, and Quint's death is different in the book too. I mean, we've already kind of briefly touched on Quint's death, but it truly is. It's I wish I could have seen it in that with the crowd in 1975. Like to have seen the horror of when you see that shot of Jaws coming through the water and then him bursting out of the water with his jaws wide open and crashing onto the boat, and to see Quint slide down and the crunching of his body in his mouth and vomiting blood and the scream that Robert Shaw lets out. I mean, it's I feel for him as an actor having to go back and do take after take after take of just screaming in the shark's mouth as it's slinging you around. But God, when it was all done, man, edited together, the vomiting of the blood, like the blood on his tongue, you know, as he's screaming in his teeth, and the crunching with the machete. It was years before I noticed that he had a machete in his hand stabbing the shark, because I only watched it on VHS, which was the full frame, and you see it, and that's what introduced me to widescreen. Was when Jaws was released on widescreen on VHS, I started freaking out. I'm like, I didn't remember seeing Deputy Hendricks right there. Holy crap, I can see more of the dog right there. I was just like, it was like watching the film with new eyes.
But Tyler, you got them black bars on the top and bottom of your screen.
That's what everybody used to complain about back in the day. You'd get
I'm like you're losing so much of the movie.
Right, it's like you're losing to one extent, but you're gaining the other extent. It's like, wow, you're seeing stuff at the sides. That happened with some of the Halloweens where I was like, I never realized that part where you could see Michael Myers in the car before he turned down and where Loomis looked the other way and missed him. It's like, I've never seen that on my box TV. But no, you're right. Of course, nowadays the TVs are all made completely different. So it benefits.
God, fine. Yeah. I'm so glad that we're past the time period of movies would get released in full screen and widescreen, and then you run into the issue of sometimes they wouldn't even have it listed on the, but you'd have to actually flip it over and look on the back and make sure that like this is widescreen and not full screen. I hated that shit.
I remember I didn't even know the first time I did get one of those movies with the widescreen put in. I remember Dad said, "What the hell happened to the top and bottom of the screen?" I was like, "I don't know." He's like, "Well, it's all small like this." And I was like, "I don't know." I felt horrible watching it. And then you see some extra stuff. I was like, "Hey, but look over there." He's like, "I don't care. I can't see the top and the bottom." But
just get them pan and scan and tell them to go on.
God,
pan and scan's like awful.
Oh my God! I mean that really took me out of watching a lot of movies in the mid '90s when like Columbia would release a lot of. I think they had released Ghostbusters. And they had done a version of that, of Ghostbusters, and it was just god awful. I remember watching Multiplicity, the Michael Keaton movie where he makes clones of himself.
Yeah.
And and like, God, what the hell is wrong with the movie here? It was just this bad scanning thing they would do.
I didn't like that.
And then I remember there were some movies that would start out like Karate Kid Part 3 on VHS. I remember started out with the widescreen format, and then I think after like the first 2-3 minutes of the film, it cuts to full screen. And some films I remember did that. They would open up with the widescreen format, and then it would eventually just kind of cut to full screen. That was just one example. I know there were others that did that, but Jaws was the first film that made me appreciate widescreen, because and then after that it was hard. I started noticing, oh my God, like watching the 13th Warrior, I'm like, hey, that they're missing stuff here, all because of Jaws, because I could really capture the full image in theater, and then when it comes to video, you realize how much was missing just because of paying attention to like, okay, there's so much more being cut. It was unveiling my eyes to a whole new world of movie watching because of the widescreen version of Jaws. And I have a lot to thank Jaws for. I mean, it's I did a 7th grade paper. We had to do an autobiography of like you as as some sort of persona in in a field of work. And I chose to do one on marine biology, and my character persona was Matt Hooper from the Oceanographic Institute. And I think I got an A on that paper too. So, and it was just talking about marine life and stuff, like not just specifically on sharks, but just and that's what I took that from was from Jaws. You know, it's I literally had many nightmares about Jaws, but it never kept me from watching the film. I still remember certain nightmares that I had about being chased by the shark underwater or watching other people being attacked and just in the dream just being like this, you know, bystander watching all the chaos ensue of people being chased or being eaten, you know, but it never kept me from stopping watching the film. It's my biggest phobia is being attacked by a shark. But
yeah, you like being in the water.
I do like being in the water. You know,
see, I'm gonna go with Joe on this one. I don't get as anxious about it because I didn't have that kind of experience Joe had, but I don't know how to swim, so that could make that like that time at the lake didn't bother me. Did we already tell that story?
I don't think Joe knows that story.
No, I've never heard.
All right, so Tyler's parents have a lake house, and their jet skis there, and Tyler's like, "Oh yeah, you and Sam, terrible name, get on this jet ski, and we'll go out." And you know, Tyler like takes this turn, and you would think that we would have did the weighting of this a little bit better because he's in the front, right? And she's in the middle. I'm in the back. And I think weight wise, I'm the lightest out of everybody. So he goes to take this turn and it just like tips over in the water and the jet ski rolls over as well. And then we get on it and it happens again. And the whole time I'm sitting there, and I want to say at one point she said when we're there in the water, she's like, "Oh, I just thinking about the stuff that's underneath my feet," and that never really crossed my mind for whatever reason.
Yeah.
But I don't really know where I was going with that story. Just
touching that your fear of the water not being able to swim, and it was scary because the jet skis flipped over upside down. And trying to push the jet ski, and it was flooded with water too. So I'm by myself, you know, because Nathan's pissed off and wearing a pink life jacket.
Yeah, we left that part out.
Yeah,
I got stuck with the pink life jacket, so I'm just sitting there like floating, just like really mad. Like,
and we're in the middle of Clear Lake, yeah, and there's a family on a pontoon just watching all this and not bothering to help. They're just watching us. And I'm in the water trying to push the jet ski. I got nothing to brace myself. I'm trying to get this jet ski over by myself. I think Sam came over to try to help me at one point. And I finally get it over. I get it up and running. We get everyone back on. It flips back over again. So, and then
I think that second time it was about to flip over, I just like jumped off of it. Yeah, I'm like, I'm not even gonna, I'm just gonna, I saw it and I'm just like, nope. And then Tyler's like, "Oh, come on." I'm like, "I'm not getting back on that fucking thing." I'm like, the little beach area is right over there. I'm just going to like take my time and swim to it. You just come pick me up.
Yeah. So that's what happened. Nathan and swam. Nathan and swam.
No, it's all right. You just call her Swam.
Yeah.
Her other name's awful anyway.
Well, they ended up, I got the jet ski unclogged, and thanks to the guy who followed just to help by just standing on his pontoon. "Hey, just do this." So anyway, they swam to shore. Nathan got yelled at by the lifeguard.
Oh man, I fucking yelled at him when I got there too. I was like, "Did you not just see that shit out there? Like clearly you could, because we were like straight ahead from them. Like, did you not see that fucking shit back there? Like, just whatever." And he just like looked at me because he's like one of those dumb high school kids. It's just that's his summer job and everything. I was like,
we crashed in front of the public beach area at Clear Lake Park.
So we had an audience.
Yeah, so we had an audience for it, but we were a good ways away from it. But the lifeguard could clearly see, you know, whatever happened out there. So Nathan's getting chewed up by the lifeguard. I'm going back to the house, you know, and Erica looks and says, "Where the hell's Nathan and Sam?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, they're," you know, because she stayed back to sunbathe, and I grab her. I got to go unload my car because it's filled with so much junk and crap to make sure I got room for Nathan and Sam. Drive back, and Nathan's just in the worst mood possible. So. But there's our water story. Not that it really has too much to do with Jaws, but
I mean, I do actually. I may have told this one before, but I do have that story of when Emily and I went to the beach last year with her parents, and we're there in the ocean, and probably about a good 30 feet or so out, I see a fin, and I'm like, "I'm pretty sure that was a shark," and Emily's like, "No, it wasn't a shark," and we got out of the ocean and went and changed and went for a walk. And we come back, and her stepmom's like, they pulled this shark out of the water. And I'm like, I fucking told you there was a shark out there.
That's great.
Ugh. But no, that was pretty unnerving to like look and you see the fin. Just I'm like, oh, okay, I'm getting out of the water now. And she was like, no, it's fine. I'm like, no, there was a shark. And I got out and she stayed in a little bit, like maybe 2-3 more minutes. I'm like, come on.
Is this in the same incident that you threw up in the water too?
That was the same trip, but that was like the next day we went kayaking, and I'm not a morning person. So we're up at like 6 o'clock in the morning. I didn't really eat anything because I don't eat really until a couple hours after I'm awake. And we had to be there. I think we had to be at the kayak place at like 7:30 or something. So we get there, and I'm kind of nervous anyway because I'm like, I've never done kayaking, don't know how to swim. How is this gonna go? Get on the water, and I'm like, it's fine, but like, it's hot, and like, I got a shirt, I got a hat on, just to keep from the sun, but I also had the life vest on, and it was just like really warm, and it was getting hotter, and I hadn't had anything to eat, and I got my water, and I'm like drinking it. And then, like, I got another bottle of water. I'm kind of dumping on my head to kind of cool off. And I look over at her, and I'm like, can you hold my kayak? I think I'm going to throw up. And then I just, like, barfed. But the cool thing is her dad inadvertently took a picture right at the moment. She's, like, she's just kind of, like, looking at me, and she's holding on to my kayak. And I'm just, like, my head's like this, and you can see, like, just stuff coming out of my mouth. She took that and blew it up and put it on a big blanket that says like barf, laugh, love or something.
Do you have that blanket?
Yeah. It's actually it's upstairs.
Oh man, you'll have to definitely post a picture of that. That sounds insane.
No, I can do that. I will do that. Tyler, I'll send it to you and you can post it on the Beyond Retro podcast page.
That's the clickbait that Tyler's referring to when I would say, hey, see Nathan puking. You want to know why this happened? Tune into Beyond Retro. So yeah, there's the clickbait that I usually do.
There we go.
I guess getting back to Jaws too. Like, just there's no proper segue. It's just okay. We'll just jump.
Back to Jaws.
But I guess one of the more popular things about the film too, is Vert.
Joe's down there like stretching.
No, I was stretching. I'm good. I'm just stretching.
Okay, but about all the stuff going on in the boat, like that's the movie's building to, is to have the 3 men on the boat going out hunting Jaws. Is that kind of like a part of the movie that's just indifferent to the rest? Like you all feel like it's one great big story, or do you like there's certain parts that you're like, oh, that's really getting good now? When they're on the boat and they're arguing with each other about how they're going to do things, and Quint's all about the old school method. Hooper's got his new methods, and Brody's just trapped in the middle, just trying to stay out of the way, and
sure, you could say it all leads up to this epic moment where they're getting on the boat and you're finally hoping, okay, are they going to catch this damn shark finally? Sure, but no, at no point did anything feel like it was less than the other part. Like you said, it all built up great from the exact beginning of her getting eaten. Just every little bit just built up to that big, of course, climax at the end, which is fantastic. But no, I mean, I loved every piece of it going up to it. And like I said, it's a movie I don't revisit and watch a lot, and I've told you before, it's not because I hate it. But it was a great movie. It was all the way till the end when he finally, I don't know if he said, smile, you son of a bitch, or whatever he said, and boom, he blows him up when he shoots that thing in his mouth. But no, it's a fantastic movie. Every part of it worked. I didn't feel bored at any time watching Jaws.
I think that it was cool how, you go, the scenery changing is cool. Like, not only are we building towards this, but just you go from like the crowds of people and like the beach scenery to now it's just like isolation, and here's these 3 guys out on the water. Like it's a good it's a perfect tonal shift for me, and it's like Joe said, it's one of those perfect films. Like, you have to put it in that conversation with that's the reason why they made 3 sequels, and that's why people parody it and copy things from it to this day. At
any point did you guys jump at all in watching this movie? Because The movie still makes my dad jump to this day when Benny Gardner's head comes out of the bottom of the boat when Hooper goes to retrieve the tooth. That weird noise. I don't know what the hell that noise that's thrown in with the impact of the head coming out, but that was a legendary scream scene. And when it came to theaters, it makes my dad jump to this day. It's a very off-putting noise when the head comes out.
Yeah. Well, I was laying there in bed this morning, and she's laying beside me, and she's getting ready to get ready, and I'm just laying there. I'm like, oh yeah, here comes the jump scare. I'm like, wait for it. Like it would have been cool to have experienced that when it came out in theaters. If I could go back in time and sit in a movie theater with people watching that, knowing what's coming, and just to see that reaction and everything, that would be brilliant. Because there's not there's very few like jumpy, scary parts. You got the part where, you know, he's feeding the chum and he pops out of the water kind of thing. But for the most part, you can kind of see some of the attacks. Hooper
gets attacked in the cage, like the music goes silent and then bang, you know.
Yeah, no, that's the cool part, because he's like, oh wait, I thought it was here in front of me, and actually it's sort of circled around and now it's behind me. Yeah.
Now the music too, obviously it's been talked about to death, but from your all's perspective, you know, do you guys pay attention to the music? You know, when you watch the film, does it resonate with you, or is it all just kind of part of the package? Like you know, obviously it's such an over the top popular score.
I would say that the main theme sticks out to me, but everything else sort of just blends in. If that, like,
yeah, I get it.
I hope that it's not like a
no.
Tyler just gets up and storms off.
No, I'm not going to pull an Amato here. No. It's. I mean, that's what good movies are. I mean, the music helps sell the sequence, because if you didn't have the music, much like with Halloween, watching Michael, you know, pop up out of the backseat of the car, wouldn't have anything if you didn't have the music there. But you take it all as the package, and that's what makes it so much better. Is the package helps sells the movie, and that's what Jaws is. You know, I think for me, just because I've watched the movie so many damn times, the score really resonates with me a lot. You know, I can't help it. Anytime being on the ocean or something like that, even being in the Caribbean, riding on a boat to go snorkeling, sitting on the top, I'm thinking of like going out, the music of like going out to sea that's played in the first Jaws. I'm like, that's what it's like to be Quint, Brody, and Hooper out on the water here. You know, no, we're just going snorkeling in the Caribbean. But in my mind, I'm thinking like I'm playing Jaws here.
Do you get seasick?
No.
Never? Have you ever been like way out in the ocean?
No, I can't. I've never been deep sea fishing or anything like that. I've never been on a cruise ship. You know,
well, I think on the cruise ship you don't really feel it as much.
You don't feel it, but even like being on the lake when, you know, we take the pontoon out, I don't get, you know, motion sickness from that or anything like that. You know, I'm just I'm still thinking Jaws. Even out on the lake, I'm like, you know, I've got to get to the mast, you know, the pontoon here, and be on the lookout here.
Well, see,
in my mind, I'm just like a big kid. I'm constantly fantasizing all the time.
Well, see, when I was out on the ocean, because I had been to Alaska for a couple of summers for fishing purposes. I went out on the boat, and we're like out there, so you're like rocking like this. I took medication, so I wouldn't even bother, but I could definitely see how people do get sick, and I'm glad that I took that medicine. And it's honestly too probably the best sleep I've ever gotten, because you're just laying there and you just get rocked to sleep. It's a good feeling.
I don't know if I could sleep on a boat though in the middle of the ocean. I just don't think I'd feel too comfortable doing that, unless you're on a cruise ship or something like that. I don't think sleeping on a fishing vessel of any kind, where the creaking and cracking and thinking that Jaws could come hit the bottom of the boat, and like, damn it, now I got to get up and unclog the salt water and the fuel, and you know, and God, I can quote that movie to death. I just there's not a scene in that movie I can't quote. I mean, I could probably reenact the whole damn film.
I would like to see that.
Yeah.
Are you going to play the shark as well?
I probably had to have my hand play the shark or something like that. I don't know what I do, but nah. I mean, I couldn't actually do it. It would just strictly have to be like all the, you know, the characters, you know, portraying all the characters in the dialogue. They're in the yard, not too far from the car. How's that? Like you're from New York. You know, just quote random scenes, you know, throughout the entire movie. You know, it doesn't matter who's talking or what scene it is. I'll just start quoting it to death. And
yeah, when that scene came up today, when I was watching it, it made me think of how you're always asking Emily. It's like, oh, hey, say that word, because she's from Boston, so he wants to try to occasionally try to hear that accent.
I know. I should ask her to say, hey Emily, say are they in the yard? Not too far from the camera's like, and she'll just give you that look like, no, my God, no. Yeah, it's just like I'm not a parlor trick, Tyler. Yeah, because that's what I said the first time I met her. She said she's from Boston. Hey, say coffee. As if like she's a
Let's hold on. I can't believe you just said that. I was just gonna say, can she say coffee properly? I was just going to say that because here's a bizarre thing. My sister went to Boston and she lived there for maybe 3-4 years. She came back home after all this time.
Sounded totally different, didn't she?
She said, yeah, I'm going to have a cup of coffee. I said, I'm sorry, what's that? And she said, I'm going to have a cup of coffee. I was like, coffee? I was like, what's coffee? I was like, you saying coffee? And she was like, coffee. I was like, oh, God. She actually picked up that accent and started saying it like that. Oh, it drove me nuts.
No, she doesn't. It doesn't really. It comes out occasionally, not that often. And I'll always call her out on it, like, what was that? And she just be like, shut up.
I was going to say there's a movie that I've seen it once. I like Sandra Bullock. So some of her movies, whether they're hits and misses with people, I'm still going to see.
And this podcast is over.
Like, goodbye. Drops it off. There was one called
The Forces of Nature with Ben Affleck.
Well, here's the thing. There was one called The Heat with Tyler's favorite person that Melissa
McCarthy.
She's on it. There you go. So Sandra Bullock is some FBI agent. She ended up going to
see that.
Yes, so she's an FBI agent. She goes back to Melissa McCarthy's house as she's meeting her parents. And while she's in another room, Sandra Bullock's sitting there at a table with all these people from Boston. And then the one guy looks at her and says, "Hey, are you a knock?" And she said, "What's that?" And he said, "Are you knock?" She's like, "A knock? What's a knock? I'm not quite understanding what you're talking about." And he kept going on and on. And she says, "Oh, do you mean a narc?" And he said, "That's what I said. Didn't I say knock? A knock." It's because of the damn accent. But he's like, "Do you mean a narc?" He's like, "That's what I said. What am I speaking another language? A knock."
Dude, why did you bring up my cousin Vinny with the 2 Utes? Instead, you bring up Melissa Meth-Carthy.
Because that narc and knock. Oh, no, but yeah, that narc and knock I just remembered because it was such a distinct, different way. But oh yeah, cousin Vinny with the 2 Utes.
What is a Ute?
What's a Ute? Yeah, what's a Ute? He's like, oh, I'm sorry, Utes.
Yeah, you have to ask Emily how she says Utes.
I will do that when we're done with the podcast.
And see if she just kind of gives you that look and, oh, look at me, I'm Nathan.
Oh, yeah.
See if she does that, somehow.
Man, anytime the 3 of us hang out, it's almost like it's turning this dynamic of once she starts making fun of me, then Tyler jumps in on it. It's like, this is great. Isn't it all this payback for all those times in high school?
Oh, no. What I do is nothing compared to what Nathan used to do.
Yeah,
if Nathan got
really
the least
quick,
bit of...
What did Nathan do to you? And then I got to hear what she's done to Nathan. But what's some of these things that Nathan's done to you in high school? I got to hear some of these now that you brought it up.
God, man.
Right, I'll tell the story that really pissed him off. Really pissed him off.
We already heard
Which
the
one?
Prince one before.
Which one?
All right, so I shared a locker with him at one point because I'm like, the way that they did it was alphabetically, and his locker was on the outside. Mine was in the middle of the locker bank, and it's not like a normal high school setting where they're all on the wall. Our high school had these pods. It was open spaces, so our locker bank was just rows of lockers, and mine was in the middle, and there were always people crowded around and fat couple making out all the time, and I just didn't want to go around them to get my shit out of my locker, right? So I was like, Tyler, can I put my stuff in your locker? And he's like, yeah, here's the combination. So our mutual friend, her name was Megan. She had this Chippendales calendar or whatever, and I was like, give me that picture, and we ripped it out and I taped it in his locker. And so when
I don't remember that.
Yeah. So when you went to open it up, that popped out, and I was like, look at that. He's got a picture of a dude in his locker.
See, I thought you were going to talk about the time you stole my textbook, and I was going to have to pay for it because he was pissed off me for flirting with the girl that Nathan liked.
Let's hear that one. I want to hear it. You got to do that before we hear some Nathan shit about him. But go on, say it.
Yeah. No, my senior year, we'd already had been, at odds. I was trying to think which one came first. I think The girl that, which looking back, I don't know why the hell I had a thing for this girl. Nathan was crazy about her.
Yeah.
And I kind of developed a bit of a thing for her.
Oh, well, the thing was, too, is she kind of, like, was crushing on him, and I was like, what?
Yeah, because Nathan and her, they had already had something going on, and she was kind of alternative. You know, she claimed to like, you know, Batman and stuff like that, which who the hell knows if she really did or not. But they didn't act on it because her friend really liked Nathan, so that's why she never.
Cousin.
Oh, is that okay? I didn't remember that. But anyway, that started some bad blood between the two of us because I you know, and we never dated or anything. Helen never even touched her.
It was like an episode of Saved by the Bell almost.
It really was. It was short lived. You know, I was Zach and he was Screech. You know.
Fuck, I was. You take that back, sir.
I knew if I said Slater, I'm not going to get a rise out of it. If I say Screech, I'm going to get a rise out of you. So
that's fair.
Yeah. So believe me, I mean, come on, we wouldn't be laughing right now if I called him Slater.
Yeah.
You know. So anyway, that was short lived, and then I started. I got my first, like, I guess what I would consider serious girlfriend around that time, and it just, I wasn't hanging around the group as much, and I know that bothered Nathan a lot. And he took my economics book. It was either that or my English book. And turns out 2 books were taken. Somebody else took my English book, and it was this jerk off Jason Queen. But Nathan took my economics book, and he went, and it was, the semester was winding down. I'm like, oh my God, where are my books at? They're gonna make me pay for it. And he's like, I didn't take your book. I didn't take your English book. And I got in his face about it in the locker banks. I was pissed off about it. I mean, I was ready to strangle him right there because Nathan was mad at me, and I, you know, I'm like mad at him for doing all this. And as it turns out, he took my economics book. And looking back at it, like stealing books, like Nathan's like, I'll get him. I'll steal his economics book. That'll show him.
I don't even know the mentality behind it. I think we hid that in like Megan's locker or something.
Yeah,
it was barely. The only thing I remember most about that story is just we're there at the locker bank and you were like right in my face.
Yeah, yeah. I was pretty livid, and he didn't steal my English book. That jerk off Jason Queen did. Which, looking back, I'm like thinking, I don't know why the hell the guy with the goofy, super burned red face, hair is just like
frosted tips too.
What's that?
Frosted tips. You like
remember
yeah, you put the highlights in his hair? Yeah.
We could give Joe some fun stories. And Nate, there's a great story of Jason making fun of him publicly, which is great too. But anyway.
Oh, we could tell that story now real fast.
Well, let me wrap up this one here real quick. That way within the context. But as it turns out, Nathan just took my economics book. Jason took my English book. And Jason just kind of catches, oh yeah, I'm the one that took it. I don't know why he did it, but naturally I thought Nathan did it because he had taken my economics book. So much to where I had to take Nathan to the principal's office for fear of, like, I'm going to be charged with paying for this textbook.
Man, I don't remember that. I've completely blocked that part out of my mind.
Yeah, we went to Mr. Reese's office. Yeah.
Now it's coming back to me. I'm just sitting there like, oh my God, what the fuck?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, look, me and Nathan have been friends since high school, and knowing that we went to this shit, you know, it's hard to believe, but. But the biggest thing Nathan would do was anytime we were around pretty girls, Nathan would love to just humiliate me, you know, just call me, you know, gay or whatever. Anytime there was a chance, you know, that I could, you know, start something with a pretty girl, Nathan was always there. Now, granted, if it wasn't happening to me, it was hilarious. Like when he would do it to his cousin John, where John's talking to this girl, Nathan said, "Here, give me the porno that he let me borrow." And takes it outside and hands it to John in front of the girl he's talking to. Here's your porno back, right in front of him. That was hilarious, you know, because John could be irritating at times too. So I felt like this was great watching John being embarrassed like that. But for the most part, it was just pretty much just kind of, you know, making just if he found something to make fun of, he would just.
Joey, okay?
I'm sorry. You guys are doing this, and a flashback went into my head of one of my buddies that pissed me off in school. I just have to say it now because I got to get it out. I had the Chicago Bowl pen. It was my favorite pen that I used in school. And it came up missing. I remember asking everybody in the class, I ain't got it. 5 days later, this one kid who was a friend but kind of pissed me off said, "Here you go, Joe, man. I finally, you know," he showed me he had the pen. I was like, "Oh," I said, "Well, why didn't you tell me?" I said, "Man, this is driving me nuts. That's my favorite pen." He was like, "I just want to see how nuts I could drive you." I was like, "Oh, okay." So the next day I was like, I'm going to get him back. When I would get people back, it was, I didn't do horrible stuff, but I got pissed. I was like, "Okay, you're going to mess with me? I am going to get you back." We're starting off class. We had the windows open, getting fresh air in there. He sat about 3 seats ahead of me. He went up to go sharpen his pencil. The teacher did not get into class yet. We're waiting for her to get there. As he did that, I ran, and under the chair was all the stacks of books, because we'd go to other classes. He did his whole stack of books. I grabbed him, ran to the window, threw every book and everything out the window, and sat back in my chair. He came back and sat down, and when it was time to get the textbooks, he reached, and he had nothing. He's like, wait, where's my book, Dad? Where are my books at? Everybody was everybody else in the class was cool with me because they knew I could freak out sometimes. Nobody said shit. I was like, I got it.
Wait. No, they're all cool with you because you just said they're cool with you because you would freak out sometimes. So yeah, they're basically like, oh man, I don't want him to, if we snitch on him, then he's going to kill my family.
Well, they knew when I would do shit, it'd be extremes, and I swear and that's the thing. Nobody in the class said nothing. I never said nothing until that day. Nobody ever said Joe threw him out the window. It took till the next day. He seen his books. Everything was all laying out there. That's when he picked up the rest, because when I threw them out, I'm not kidding. You seen papers flying. Everything was just out that window. But I threw the whole stack on set, and nobody ever ratted me out. But I just had to say that because I was so pissed. I remember he took my pen. And that was my favorite Chicago Bull pen, and I still got that pen. It doesn't work no more. I still got that damn pen. But damn, that pissed me off. I threw his whole stack of books out the window.
Kindred spirits, Joe. Kindred spirits.
There you go. There you go.
That sounds like something I would have done.
Oh, yeah, wholeheartedly.
I bet you did. That's what I mean. When somebody pissed you off, it's like you would just get them back, and sometimes it was to an extreme. But yeah, that was my extreme moment, was grabbing every one of his books and throwing them out the window. And him collecting them from probably after school to the next day, finding every book. Probably didn't have all his papers, I'm sure, but that was a moment. So
the only thing that would have topped it off is had it rained or something overnight, and just totally ruined everything.
That could have been great. That would have been great. The other thing I did, it was never nothing. I had a weird way. Sometimes I would flirt with girls. And beyond, just sometimes just messing, grab, whatever it might be. I
used to go by and grab their left boob and say, "Hey, how you doing?" And somehow they just reacted unkindly to that. I don't know why.
The one thing I did was I took this one girl's book. I don't know why this is going to sound like it doesn't make any sense, but I took her book it was history class. I grabbed her history book and I took it in the toilet and I set it in the toilet at school. So
this is your way of getting a date with a girl?
Don't ask me why, but I put it in the toilet. And
in the toilet, like it's touching in the toilet water.
It's right in the well, there's no crap in there, but it was in the toilet. She didn't have her book. She had to borrow with.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Hey, come over here and
she sat next to me, so she would share with my book. And 4 days.
There's better ways and cleaner ways of getting her to do that without just saying, I'm going to put her in the shitter.
And listen, here's the bad thing. 4 days later, the janitor of the school, Mr. George, we called him Mr. George. Mr. George came and he's like, we found Melody's book, and it was all wrinkled. And I remember she grabbed it, and when she opened it, went. They had to order her another book.
Wait, you said 4 days later they found it?
4 days. Well, that's when they finally got to her, because I don't know. I don't know the process of what happened from the toilet to here to there. Maybe nobody wanted to say nothing. Maybe they got it. They threw it in the garbage. But either way, the janitor got it. Mr. George got it 4 days later. Brought it to her. It was wrinkled to hell, and when she opened it, you just heard the pages going crackling. But that was my way of having her buy me and sharing the book until. I got it back. I probably should have thrown that one out the window, but
the enigma continues. Oh my god, that is the weirdest way of flirting I've ever seen.
I mean, it worked to some extent, but it wasn't lasting. Sometimes your head's it's somewhat in the right place, but you're just not using all the functions properly. So, wasn't thinking that one quite through. It was
well, now I can't even tell the Jason Queen story, because how does that even compare to?
Well, mine's goofy, but we got to hear yours before we probably wrap this up, because we went sideways. But go ahead, let's hear yours.
Real quick, it was just a thing of popular kids are mean to anybody basically that is not popular. So they were giving me and Tyler and our group of friends shit, and let me put you back in this time frame. This is like late 90s, like 2000, 2001 esque. So, Abercrombie and Fitch is all the rage, and LFO's on top of the charts, and boy bands are the hot thing, and all these popular dudes look like dollar store versions of like NSYNC or whatever. Anyway, so he's just giving a shit or whatever, and like I made this little sign. Like I purposely like gelled my hair and like wore like these shitty clothes that I didn't like to wear, and wore this sign that was just like "Want to be a Jason Queen" on the front of it. And I was like, "Well," and they got really pissed off by this. So much that like he put on a sign that was like "Want to be a Nathan Kennedy," and I'm like, now you're just copying me.
Oh, that's original.
Yeah, so that's basically the gist of it.
But the thing is, like, he never approached Nathan like with a physical altercation. None of those guys that were part of the group, they didn't like come up to Nathan all at once, and because they think it's better to approach one guy at once with big numbers. They never approached him about it. They never threatened to beat him up. It was just kind of one of those things that had we known, we probably would have I probably would have, knocked the hell out of Jason, because he used to come by and mess up my hair deliberately, because I was very insecure about my looks, really, really big time back in high school. So I used to fix my hair up with gel and stuff, and I just hated if he didn't have it. He used to come by in English class and just mess with it. I don't know what provoked him to do it. He's just like, you mind your own business, and he used to do that shit all the time.
Did you ever knock him out? I hope you hit him.
No, see, that's the thing. I was back then. If you were getting picked on, teachers didn't, and that's why I feel like probably still goes on in school today. If you're the one getting picked on and you decide to fight back, they decide to suspend both of you. They don't care if you're being tormented all the time. All they say is, "Oh, you kids are roughhousing. You're both gone." And I'm thinking, to do anything means if I get suspended, I'm gonna get backed up on homework, and I'm gonna freak out, and I'll never get caught up. So that's what I'm thinking about, as opposed to just knocking the shit out of Jason Queen. So don't mess with my damn hair, you douchebag.
It's gonna be funny because we have obviously you're on Facebook. There's friends that you like, mutual friends with people we went to high school with. I'm kind of curious if anyone from our graduating class ends up listening to this episode in particular. It's just like, oh my god.
There's no way in hell anybody who went to high school is going to take time to listen to a conversation about us talking about Jaws.
That's true.
So I hell, even if they did, it would be great to know that, yes, you idiots, and there's even more stories of this particular group that tormented me and Nathan, because we've got stories that we haven't told yet that we both are very familiar with, but that would be cool if because I would love to confront those assholes about the stuff that you
look at me now, I'm so big.
That's great.
Oh man, no.
Well, hey, Jaws was a great movie.
Yes, it was a great movie. Yes.
It wouldn't have been an episode to Beyond Retro if there hadn't have been some sort of like offside rant that has nothing to do with Jaws.
At least we did it towards the end. Like, we've actually managed to focus the conversation on Jaws, and then we start talking about our school, shenanigans at the end of the podcast. So we had some cohesion this week finally.
There you go.
And no one got up and left.
Well, Joe didn't even really get to talk too much.
I thought I did. I think. I don't
know. I guess.
He's like, maybe.
Maybe. I felt like as we were going through it, I was just like, I feel like Joe's not talking as much.
Well, that's probably my fault in picking a topic that I just assumed both of you had seen multiple times, and to come to find out, Joe has reasons why he hasn't seen it. So that's why it's always important that we pick something that all three of us can jump in on and have a lot to say, and not be, something that.
Yeah, but the cool thing is you're so detailed oriented with remembering names and all that stuff that it was good to hear like all the stuff that you had to say, the behind the scenes that you divulged about, and like your experience at the convention. So I don't.
Well, I mean, I often feel like too. I mean, and I guess it's just me because I'm such a junkie. I almost feel like this information is out there. Like, people listen to this, the fan base that we have, I almost feel like they probably are already aware of it. I'm just assuming that just because it seems to be such common knowledge. So for me, I didn't even scratch the tip of the surface with my
didn't scratch trivia. The tip of the ice surface.
Yeah, that too. I didn't do that either when it comes to my behind the scenes knowledge of Jaws. I didn't even sink my teeth into that wonderful luscious ass that Jaws has. I'm trying to make it a sexual joke.
Okay.
People say you want to bite into an ass. You ever heard that expression?
Nope.
All right, that's just because you're from Pulaski. So anyway,
you are too, kind of mostly.
No, I'm from Radford/Fairlawn.
It's still the same county, sir. Still the same county.
Well, still, you're from Punasty.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah. Anyway,
I'm gonna go steal some more of his books.
Yeah, steal my textbook. I'll take you to the principal's office, asshole. I'll show you, and then I'll get frosted tips in my hair, and start wearing Hollister clothing again. If I can fit into it.
What a terrible time, man! We go to the mall, and he's like, "I gotta go into Hollister, man. I got to spend $90 on these ripped jeans." I'm like, "Dude, we can go get a pair of jeans for like $20, and I can like cut holes in them for you." Like, what are you doing?
I lost a lot of weight. I was trying to get in shape, trying to get girls, and then spending all that money didn't attract one damn girl.
I tried to tell you, never listen to me.
Yeah.
Trying to be yourself, man. Be yourself.
Well, I just don't think girls at the time were really interested in my stories about, hey, you ever seen that one episode of He-Man from season 2, Betrayal of Stratus? Oh man, it makes your nipple so hard, it's so damn good.
Well,
did you realize there was a lobster fisherman scene in Jaws that was conceived but never done, where Jaws comes out of the water and grabs a hold of Elton, the lobster fisherman, whole, and then crashes back down in the water? Do you ever know about that? Girls don't give a shit about that.
Then I guess you just got to take their purse and put it in the toilet.
Yeah, there you go. That's what I should have done. Yeah, I'll get him to talk to me.
Hey, simple-minded stuff with this moron here. He does the dumbest stuff. But how the hell does he keep getting these girls? What kind of stupid shit is this?
Just taking their personal belongings and putting them in the crater.
Exactly. Like, why spend $90 on jeans or even cut them? Just wear them out like I do. I eventually get holes, and then I'm in style. It might take a year, but I'll get there.
And in the meantime, you just, force their stuff into the crapper and hope to God they want to sit next to you. Hey, I've got some French fries. You can share mine. I took her French fries and put them in the toilet. So hopefully she'll want to share mine.
That's it. Oh, geez.
All right. Yeah, we're done with our Jaws conversation here.
Well, anyone got any final thoughts on Jaws? Other than everything about it is perfect, and Spielberg, I wish he would tap back into that magic that he used to have.
I mean, I do too, and I look forward. We will talk the sequels when Meg comes out later this summer. That's the idea. Is that when Meg comes out, we'll do our Jaws sequels /
Meg review.
Yeah, a Meg review along with the Jaws sequels 2, 3, and the Revenge, and probably touch on Matt Hilton. They suggested we talk about all the rip-offs and knockoff movies.
Now, is it going to be Meg or the Meg? What is
just Meg? Just Meg.
Okay.
Yeah. So we'll do a review for that and just kind of talk all the Jaws sequels and movies like Alligator, Piranha, Orca the Killer Whale, all those movies that were either good or just really bad.
And I'll also give my impressions of Tyler's reactions. Like if it's going bad and Meg's not good,
oh man,
I'll be there for you guys to let you know.
Okay, sounds good. So, well, Nathan, you're gonna have to wrap us up now and tell everybody what they got to do and where they can go.
If you're joining us for the first time, make sure you hit that subscribe button and hit that bell so you get the notifications of when we're going live. If you're joining us on Podbean, we put the links in the description, but if you're coming across us on Podbean, come check out the YouTube channel. That way you can see Tyler's posters, and you can see his sweet tank tops and his buff arms.
Yeah, and you see these twin peaks I got right here.
Oh.
Hey, I'm going along for the ride. Nathan's pointing out my tank tops and like, check out, you like Twin Peaks? Check out these Twin Peaks.
Hey, you said you like the tank top name.
Yeah, I do. I do like the tank top
name.
I like Tyler. Is it Tank Top Tyler or
Tank Top Tyler? I was thinking about that last night. I even asked Emily. I was like, should it be Tank Top Tyler or like Tyler Tank Top Baker? I was like, Tank Top Tyler's just got that good fluid.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah,
so we're gonna stick with that. But anyway, all the links in the description here. We got the Facebook page. Send us an email, beyondretro84@gmail.com. Make sure you leave a comment. Let us know how we're doing. Let us know.
Do you like us?
Yeah.
Check yes or no.
Do you think Joe's methods of hanging out with chicks is the way to go?
Check yes or no. Like, would you go out with a date or would you go out with Joe if he took your belongings and put them in the bathroom if you found out after the fact? Check yes or no.
I think that's it. I don't know.
All right.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm still just all of this show, just all of it. I'm still wrapping my head around Joe's always got these fascinating stories. Like if it's not the thrifty tips at gas stations, it's things like this. Like I just threw all of his books out the window. It's incredible. I love it.
All I say is just don't leave a burst. If you own a book, don't leave it around Joe because it's either in the outside or in the bathroom somewhere.
Or don't leave it around me either because I'll take it and you'll have to take it to the principal's office.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. You'll have to take Nathan directly to Pulaski County High School.
I don't want to go back there.
Oh man,
there's probably asbestos everywhere.
Yeah,
that school is old.
I still wouldn't mind revisiting. Just kind of wandering in the halls, like, I remember being scared to death walking down this hallway, hoping to God someone wasn't going to pick on me.
I was really nervous about my homework.
Yeah.
Every school I've went to has been tore down and rebuilt, or just tore down. So I can't revisit any of the schools.
You lucky bastard.
Yeah, one grade school, Cherry School, it was completely redone and rebuilt. They even ripped down the cherry tree that I used to climb and get them cherries from that were good. The junior high was completely redone. The other place was, one part of the building was tore down. The other was turned into some vocational thing. And then when that high school, they had to close it down. I had to go to another one. That one got tore down and rebuilt. So, yeah, I can't revisit any history, unfortunately. Would be great and kind of different, but can't do it.
You're better off.
There you go. All right. Okay. Well, thanks again, everybody in the chat room, for joining us. And I guess we'll see you guys next week.
See you next week.
See you next week.